Welcome back to the next episode of Buy or Sell. First off, I want to give a big shout out to all of our squad members out there who say they love the show. I love you guys too. If you're not a member of the squad, check out the link in our description to join the squad and see all the benefits that are included as being a squad member. This week, I will be going into Preston Williams, wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. Signed as an undrafted free agent in 2019 after the 2019 draft, Williams is easily one of the most puzzling players to not get the call on draft day because of how well he performed in his final year in college. In his first season for the Dolphins, Williams was able to see a heavy workload despite his lack of draft capital and experience. He earned it every day in practice and was rewarded by head coach Brian Flores on game day when he was slotted in as the wide receiver 2 for the Dolphins. Williams finished the season with 32 receptions, 428 yards, and 3 touchdowns with 60 targets in only 8 games before tearing his ACL in November. Williams is listed as wide receiver 53 based on June Dynasty startup ADP provided by DLF. Now, going back to his time in college, Williams was a top 50 recruit and was lured to Tennessee, rated as the 7th best wide receiver in the nation that season in 2015. He spent 2 years with the Volunteers before deciding to transfer to Colorado State, and because of his year off, he was able to step in and fill the shoes of the recently departed Michael Gallup. Williams took off and had 96 receptions, 1,345 yards, and 14 touchdowns, seemingly out of nowhere after he was not able to get on the field at Tennessee. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how can a player this talented go undrafted? Williams did himself no favors in college with multiple failed drug tests at Tennessee and one at Colorado State, along with a 2017 domestic violence arrest which left him without an invite to the 2019 NFL Combine. Williams seems to have gotten himself together and is on the right path now that he's in the NFL. Let's hope he can continue that moving forward, as he has all the potential to be a great fantasy asset in the years ahead. What we need to ask ourselves is if the tape and talent line up, or if this may only be a flash in the pan for a player who has a questionable past. Let's dive into the tape on Preston Williams and determine if he's going to be a buy or a sell.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to focus on Preston Williams and what he does so well on film as to one of the reasons why he'll be a great receiver in the NFL. First, we're going to focus on his in routes, a route that he runs very well, and part of the reason why is because he's so big, so it makes it very difficult for corners and safeties to undercut this route, and because he's so tall, he has such a long wingspan and a large catch radius to catch the ball no matter where it's thrown in front of him. Now, on this play here, you're going to notice the tight end at the bottom of the screen motion inside, and Preston Williams is just inside of him, so the tight end is going to motion inside between Preston Williams and the offensive line. You're going to see Stephon Gilmore notice this, but he has sideline protection, and the Patriots are in zone. So you're going to see Preston really use that and notice that right off the bat and just sneak in between the linebacker, Stephon Gilmore, who kind of covers him, and the safety, Devin McCourty. Now you see is as the tight end motions, Gilmore takes a few steps inside, Preston explodes off the line, and a quick break inside. Ryan Fitzpatrick gets in the ball right in between all those pass defenders. Now you can really see here, it's not that it's a difficult route concept. Preston just kind of breaks off the line really quickly. He explodes up. He only goes about 7, 8, 9 yards, and then boom, the ball's just right on him. He cuts inside. It's a very simple route. It's nothing too complicated and really easy for him and his quarterback to get on the same page and start moving the chains. And you guys are going to start to notice a bit of a pattern here. He's running it from the bottom of the screen against Joe Hayden and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's the exact same route concept. It's a very simple in route. He just has inside release, and at this point, he already has Hayden beat, little stutter step, and he's already inside. Perfect target for his quarterback. And for a player so big, he's impossible to miss it in the middle of the field. Now again, here, inside release, you're going to see it in slow motion. That little stutter step has Joe Hayden questioning where he's going to go. And for such a big target, he's just wide open. Ryan Fitzpatrick can't miss Preston Williams in the middle of the field. Now, as I previously mentioned, you're going to see that Preston Williams here from the bottom of the screen against the Cowboys. He's going to run a bit of a curl route. It's a 15-yard curl. But one of the things I really want you guys to pay attention to with Preston, and I noticed it kind of over and over with his footwork, is that he's not the best at the top of the route. One of the things he really struggles with is stopping and starting, and he does it a little bit inconsistently. Sometimes he does it really well, sometimes he doesn't. This play here, he doesn't so much. He kind of slips, loses his footwork. Now, to be fair, it's not the best throw, but he definitely could have had better footwork that put him in a better position to make a play for his quarterback. Now, I don't know who I'd put the blame on for this play, but definitely Preston has to assume some of that blame because you see this footwork slowing it right down. He slips, he kind of slips twice, slips a third time, and he still can't get back to the ball. I think his quarterback here, Josh Rosen, expecting him to break inside. He kind of breaks outside along with losing that footwork. And so because of that, it makes it very difficult to put this all on Rosen, because if he was breaking inside, that's actually a pretty good ball, and Williams just wasn't in the position to make the play. Now, this isn't a curl route, but it's a similar type of route. It's just an out route from the bottom of the screen here. Preston Williams is playing against the Patriots. Now, keep in mind, this game is a blowout. The Patriots are winning big, and so Preston here, he has a lot of cushion. He uses that cushion, has that inside release, and just breaks out on J.C. Jackson, slides down, makes the play. Very simple pitch and catch between the two, and you see it's not really a breakdown as far as the route goes. He just it's more of a speed out. Doesn't have a whole lot of breakdown to it. He quickly bursts out, and he goes past his defender. Now to cap off, showing some of his start and stop ability through these various routes. You're going to see this play against the Buffalo Bills at the top of the screen. Cornerback is kind of playing off coverage here on this play. He doesn't want Preston to beat him deep, so by the time Preston breaks down, the quarterback still has his head in the backfield looking at the quarterback, and Preston's able to break down and get a lot of space between him and that corner. Obviously with Preston's size too, it's very difficult to play up against him, play him in press, so you have to kind of play him off because he can still beat you deep. But you notice on this play, when he stops pretty quickly. His footwork's actually pretty good on this play, and obviously he provides a big target for Ryan Fitzpatrick to throw the ball to. Now, we've already talked about this a little bit, or at least I touched on it a little bit, but Preston Williams is a player that is very difficult to press because not only is he very fast, but he actually has a pretty good release for a rookie wide receiver. And for a player this big who you can't press because of his size and you can't play up on, it's very difficult for defenders, even ones like Stephon Gilmore who try to press him. Look at this inside release, and he completely stacks Gilmore. Rosen throws him the ball, and he just drops it out in the open field. Now, obviously, what you see here is a player who, even though it's a blowout, even though Gilmore's probably not trying his absolute hardest, Preston still gets the better of him pretty easily on this play. And it's really because he has pretty good footwork off the line, and obviously he has that deep speed to match, and it's something that's just very difficult for any corner to deal with, even a corner who's as talented as Stephon Gilmore. Now against the Bills, we're going to see basically the exact same concept. He can take a little bit of a jab step on the left and then go inside on this cornerback from the bottom of the screen. Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to hit him right before the safety gets there. And it's one of the things he does very, very well, that release off the line, that quick twitch ability. For a guy who's 6'5", it makes it very difficult to cover this guy. Like, there's just not a lot of you can do as a cornerback. For a guy you can't press because he's so tall, and you can't really run faster than him because he's so fast and he's agile at the point of attack. And it's so difficult to cover Preston Williams when he's in the open field. What you're going to see here against the Cowboys is a very similar concept. Bottom of the screen, Preston Williams is played face up, man to man. And then what you're going to see on this route, he's going to go outside and he's going to kind of stack this corner again, just like he did before. But the only problem we're seeing with Preston right here is that he doesn't finish at the end of the play. He has great hands. He uses his size very well, but unfortunately he drops this ball. The corner knocks out of his hands. But this is really what Preston can do. He uses that big body in the end zone. He uses his speed to get around the defender. All he has to do at the end of this play is finish it. He has the release. He gets up. He gets on top of his defender. The ball's placed perfectly. Preston has to finish, and he drops that ball right at the very end when he should have made that play. And another thing that I feel is worth mentioning, for a guy who only played half a season due to injury, and for a guy who was an undrafted free agent rookie, the Miami Dolphins actually schemed to get him the ball. In the middle of this trips formation on the left, Preston Williams is going to come out of the middle there. He's going to run kind of a rub route with this receiver, and he's going to be wide open in the middle of the field, just getting him the ball in space due to his size, hoping that he can make a play in the red zone. And that's not something you see for all players. It's not every day a player gets that opportunity. And for Preston Williams to get those opportunities in Miami as a rookie, that's only going to continue to expand in his second season, and he'll see even more of those coming into his second year. Now, this is another little play here that the Dolphins ran against the Cowboys, a flea flicker. Preston Williams is at the bottom of the screen. He's going to come across just on a slow developing crossing route. And you can see as he starts this route, he just kind of slowly takes it, and then he blows up, explodes over to the corner for a big chunk play for his offense. And it's small plays like this that really show me that they believe in Preston to get open when they need him to get open, when they scheme him open, that he can make a play for the offense. Now, this is where it gets to the good stuff. This is where Preston Williams is really going to make his money. At the bottom of the screen here against the Cowboys, you're going to see kind of a broken play. And let's just take a look to see what Preston Williams does. He breaks it off corner, he's covered. Then he sees him scrambling, and he goes up and just completely balls all over Byron Jones. Like, there is just something about a 6'5" wide receiver doing something like that that is just unguardable. It doesn't matter what you do. As soon as he's wide open, you know that he's going to get that ball more likely than not, and it's something that you just can't plan for as a game caller, and it's just nothing you can do as a defensive back. And against the Patriots here, you're going to see Preston Williams bottom of the screen lined up, and again, this is a bit of a blowout, but even still, this is a bad throw. This is actually a terrible throw by Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you're going to see the play that not only he makes in his footwork to really snap this route off, but he falls a little bit, he trips, and he goes up and snags this ball. He uses every single inch of his 6'5" body to go up and get that ball. And that's just a simple play, and he can do that with ease. That's the intangibles that Preston Williams has that most wide receivers just don't have. You just can't teach that level of talent, that level of athleticism that he possesses that most guys just don't have. Now, obviously, we've seen a lot of great things from Preston so far. I've showed you a bit of his in routes that were really good. He uses his body very well, and that's one thing that I think I want you to take away most from this little film study that I did on Preston, is that he really does use his body well. He really does do things that most players can't do simply because they don't have the size that he has. He can shield the ball very well with his body, and he does it with honestly relative ease compared to some players. He uses his hands really well. He can extend to get the ball really easily and makes plays even in contested catch situations. And then obviously you see him on his curl routes. He's pretty snappy sometimes. He's a bit inconsistent. And the biggest issue really is the top of the route. Top of the route could use some work for him, but he's a rookie and he has a lot to work on. He has things that he can do to get better. But the things that you can't teach, plays right here. You can't teach this. You can't teach a guy who can just simply go up and go over another player. That's something that he has that most players just simply cannot do. He can go over the middle between defenders, just like he did on this play. There's just lots of things that I love to see from Preston Williams, and there is small things he has to work on. Even his hands, they're a little bit questionable, but I think with this improved quarterback play, a little bit more consistent, he obviously had Josh Rosen, he had a bit of Ryan Fitzpatrick, a little bit of some inaccuracy issues there. But as far as his overall tape and what I saw, I was impressed. I was impressed with what he did. I loved him in college. I love his intangibles. I love what his potential could be in the NFL. And it's one thing that I just love to see from players like this. These young players that came out of 2019, A.J. Browns, DK Metcalfs, and obviously Deontay Johnson in Pittsburgh, and now Preston Williams as an undrafted free agent to really come into Miami and take over as the wide receiver 2. And you should continue to see that. And for all we know, he may even become the wide receiver 1 with Davante Parker kind of taking a step back and them allowing Preston Williams to really thrive. Coming off that ACL injury, that's going to be a little bit tougher for Preston Williams to do. But still, the sky is kind of the limit for Preston right now. And with that improved quarterback play with Tua coming in, they're going to slowly work together. They're going to get better and better. That chemistry is going to develop, and they're going to be a dynamic duo in the NFL. And honestly, I don't see how they don't take over the AFC East just between the two of them. If you're talking about a quarterback and a wide receiver that are the best duo in the AFC East, it's going to be those two going forward. Honestly, maybe even next year, but probably the year after that for sure. And I just love Preston's potential. The only thing really that I would say that really his yards after the catch, as you saw in most of these plays, there's not a whole lot that he does after the catch. For a guy who's 6'5", 220 pounds, he's not really breaking a whole lot of tackles. He goes down fairly easily, but it's not a big concern of mine. I think at the NFL level, he's going to develop into a really high volume chain mover. Like what you saw from him in these clips was him being able to make plays, 15, 20 yards down the field, go over the middle, do lots of things that are going to be usable on third down. And guys who are used on third down are used all over the field all the time. And Preston's going to make a name for himself on third downs, moving the chains, making big plays for his offense. I really do see that continuing going forward. Now you know me, we're going to play the ADP game, of course. We have to do it. Preston Williams in DLF's Dynasty Startup ADP for June. He's wide receiver 53 overall, behind Denzel Mims, behind N'Keal Harry, behind Brandon Cooks for some reason, behind Mike Williams, behind Laviska Shenault, behind Brian Edwards, behind T. Higgins, behind Michael Pittman, behind Henry Ruggs. Why? He could easily pass all of these guys in no time. Like, why on earth you think Denzel Mims is worth more than Preston Williams, even though Denzel Mims has never played in the NFL? Arguably, Denzel Mims hopes he's successful as Preston Williams was last year. And let me ask you, do you think that Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold? I'll wait for the Jets fans and the Sam Darnold truthers to come out, but everyone knows that Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. So why on earth wouldn't you take Preston Williams right now? You could go buy Preston Williams on the cheap. Clearly, you could probably trade him for a second-round pick based on all these guys that are being drafted ahead of him. Why on earth these guys are being drafted ahead of him? I don't know, but in startup ADP, this is crazy. You need to go out and buy Preston Williams because he is a value, clearly, at 53 overall, 110 in Dynasty startups based on June ADP. You need to go and buy Preston Williams. The only person on this list, like I've been pointing out, some of the buys already, Darius Slayton, still a buy. Mecole Hardman, if you believe that Pat Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time, go and buy Mecole Hardman, buy Preston Williams, buy these guys who produced in their first season over these rookies who are clearly overvalued, who are going to drop an ADP. Just listen to me, man. Like, I can't stress this enough. that it's not hard. Dynasty is not as hard as it seems. You have these players, they might have a bit of an injury risk, they might have this or that, but Preston Williams was a super talented player. Even as a rookie, he showed out in the preseason. He then transferred that into the regular season, and then he showed out for 8 games where he received over 60 targets in 8 games. Now imagine if you just extrapolate that times 2, that's 120 targets in your rookie season. That is absurd. That is unheard of. That is something that would vault that guy to like wide receiver 30 just on the targets. He doesn't even have to be efficient, and he wasn't efficient. Imagine if this guy gets more efficiency, all these things start trending in his favor. He could easily be a top 36 wide receiver walking into next season, or even in before the end of the season. All he has to do is maybe have 800 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns, and he's probably going to be a top 30 wide receiver because he's only going to be 24 years old heading into his 3rd season in the NFL. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to check out more of our content, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. If you really like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't checked out our Patreon, where you can get even more content, even more exclusives, patreon.com/allgas, where you can join all of our squad members that I was shouting out at the beginning of this video. Again, that's patreon.com/allgas. Join the squad, join the All Gas Army, because we're bringing that heat day in and day out. We're learning from each other, and we're building a great Dynasty Devy community. Buy Preston Williams for whatever you can. He's going to be an excellent player, so I would definitely get on that. If you got it this far, you might as well listen to me, because you're already here. You made it this far. Go out, buy Preston Williams. Just do it. Just buy him. Just stop. You know what? Pause the video. Don't even watch anymore. Go out, send out offers for Preston Williams, because he is going to be a really good player, and I believe it. And if you honestly, if you made it this far, you believe it too. I've already convinced you. The fact that you're still watching this video tells me that you think Preston Williams is a buy, or at least that I'm convincing you that Preston Williams is a buy. So go out, buy Preston Williams, subscribe to the channel, like this video, check out my other videos if you haven't. Miko Hardman, Darius Slayton, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, a whole bunch of videos, and Ray's dropping videos like crazy too. So check out all of our stuff, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. I'm rambling at this point. I'm out.
Team Mac Production.